Barry Plath from Welcome to Plathville is the patriarch of the ultra-conservative Plath family. The 11-strong group living out in rural Georgia follows their strict religious faith to the letter, even when it means foregoing sugary drinks, watching movies, and doing plenty of other stuff. Barry presides over his 9 children: Ethan, Hosanna, Micah, Moriah, Lydia, Isaac, Amber, Cassia, and Mercy, alongside wife Kim, to whom he's been happily married for over 2 decades. The duo met thanks, of course, to their all-consuming faith. TLC's Welcome to Plathville takes a closer look at Plath family life, from the struggle to resist the sweet lure of soda to eldest son Ethan's decision to marry Olivia, a young woman with plenty of opinions about the Plath's way of life that don't always go down well with his parents. The show may provide a fascinating insight into Plathville, as it were, but Barry himself remains something of a question mark. Barry Plath is all about family and religion. The Plath family website advises that Kim and Barry Plath homeschool their children, perform in a family band with them, which Barry presumably manages, and hold down day jobs. While Kim is a naturopathic doctor, Barry is a transportation planner who's held his job for the same private firm for over 25 years. This likely means Barry has to use a computer for work, even though his kids are largely banned from doing the same. Religion is at the forefront of Barry's life, as anybody who's even had a passing glimpse at Welcome to Plathville can attest. Since its 1997 start as a talk show featuring women from diverse backgrounds, the ABC network production of The View has since become the hottest daytime program in recent memory, tackling topics ranging from innocuous seasonal fashions to such divisive subject matter as the exploits of President Donald Trump. His faith and the faith of his family guides them in every aspect of their daily lives, too. The show was well ahead of its time, with producers picking hosts from diverse backgrounds and adding a bit of tension to the proceedings, which would add to the mix of people with diametric opinions as well. The result was part fluff, part insight, and part cage match, and it was that third ingredient that became a broadcast magnet for the show's growing audience. Regular watchers of The View would tune in to see sparring matches that would involve the likes of Joy Behar, Rosie O'Donnell, Meghan McCain, Elizabeth Hasselbeck, and Meghan McCain verbally grapple over issues from the war in Iraq to pandemic lockdowns. With over 20 seasons to its name, The View has gone through more than 20 co-hosts, some more vocal than others. Barry and Kim lost their 17-month-old son Joshua in a tragic accident back in 2008, and, according to a posting by Kim on the family website, her husband was an incredible support to her during that time. Is Barry Plath hiding some dark secrets? According to Barry Plath, the Plath family farm is heaven on earth, and, for just $100 a night, you could experience it for yourself as, according to Soap Dirt, the property is listed for rental on Airbnb. But how well off are these daytime luminaries, relative to each other's bank accounts? And is there a correlation between affluence and outspokenness? To find out, here's a look at the 12 richest co-hosts of The View. The top earner just might astonish you. Star Jones was one feisty legal eagle when show creator Barbara Walters wanted The View to include hosts with diverse opinions. She got more than she bargained for with Star Jones. The posting led to accusations that the Plath family didn't actually live there full-time, as they reportedly purchased a house back in 2017 in the more suburban area of Cairo, Ga, which is close to plenty of major outlets and chain stores like Walmart and Pizza Hut. This calls their strict lifestyle into question. Thanks to her legal background, which included tenure as a prosecutor for the district attorney's office in Brooklyn for 5 years, Jones proved to be a feisty addition, often quarreling with the rest of the co-hosts, Walters and Joy Behar in particular. Jones lasted 9 seasons of The View, before announcing publicly she would be leaving in June 2006 in a strategy to upset ABC's plans to fire her, which she learned about 2 months earlier. And it turns out that the family did, in fact, move, as they shared in the Season 2 premiere of Welcome to Plathville. As of August 2021, the Airbnb listing is still active and the home's rate has increased to $125 a night. Another potential secret Barry's been keeping has to do with daughter-in-law Olivia and the show. Jones later told CNN that she departed on my own terms. Today, Jones continues to live on her own terms, having hosted her own show on True TV and taking part in red carpet events on the E! Network. But in February 2021, she landed another cushy gig as editor at New York-based social directory, Marquee Who's Who, where she strives to put more minorities on the city's celebrity list. As fans know, Barry and Kim have had significant issues with Olivia, Ethan's wife. What makes this exciting for me is that rarely do you see an African American taking on a leadership role in identifying who is influencing American society, she said to the New York Times. That job, her legal earnings, show appearances, and product endorsements have resulted in a per-celebrity net worth estimates at $12 million. Rosie Perez couldn't adjust to talk show dynamics. Actor Rosie Perez was pretty much an unknown when ABC announced she would join The View in 2014, making her the first Latina to join the rest of the panel at the studio table. According to Cheat Sheet, following an Instagram post in which Olivia appeared to lay out all the ways the Plaths had wronged her, she claimed in the comments that it was actually Ethan's parents who manipulated them into appearing on the show in the first place, promising their son he'd get to see his estranged siblings if they agreed to take part. Barry Plath has a surprisingly modern approach to marriage. Barry and Kim Plath live their lives according to God's will, but their marriage is surprisingly modern. As Cheat Sheet reported, during an episode of Welcome to Plathville, Barry opened up about his long-term relationship with Kim, describing it as a two-way street. Likewise, parenting their children is an ongoing, constantly evolving process, for which he and Kim, who notably tied the knot just a few months after they started dating, frequently and equally require each other's participation. As revealed in a clip of the show shared to Instagram, the couple originally met at church, of course. The opportunity to connect with our nation's audience on a daily basis. They were initially just friends, since, presumably, Kim didn't really see anything romantic happening between the two. That is, until the voice of God informed her Barry was the man Kim was meant to marry. Other, similarly strict religious families observe patriarchal rules when it comes to their home lives, but clearly Barry and Kim don't subscribe to such beliefs despite their untouchable faith in God. Barry Plath is concerned about his children going down the wrong path. In a teaser for Welcome to Plathville, shared to Instagram, Barry Plath admitted he wants to keep his kids young and untouched by the horrors of the outside world for as long as possible. Icing on the cake, said a very stoked Perez at the time. Sadly, it wasn't all sweetness for Perez. 4 months later, Variety reported the celebrity had problems adjusting to the show's issue-oriented content and had a tough time reading the teleprompter. By July 2015, BuzzFeed broke the story that Perez had left the show. It's a shame since Perez, according to CNN, is notorious for being outspoken on such issues as racism against Puerto Ricans, even though she was born in Brooklyn. Hence why he and Kim banned their brood from technology and junk food. Although the dedicated parents have worked hard to raise their children, in recent years, the elder kids have pulled away from the family in a significant way, which gives the patriarch cause for concern. As Cheat Sheet noted, Barry shared it was tough to see Micah and Moriah leave the family homestead and go out and explore beyond what they provided for a home environment. As parents, he and Kim make plenty of mistakes, by Barry's own estimation. But although the Plath patriarch hopes his children can experience great things in their lives, there is a bit of concern about what path are they going to want to go down. He also worried they might make the wrong decisions down the line, too. The Welcome to Plathville star is trying to learn from his mistakes. Although the Plath parents are intent on keeping their kids safe from the harsh realities of modern life, Barry and Kim are open to adjusting when necessary. Discovering the art of dance as her ticket out of poverty, Perez quickly landed roles on Soul Train and In Living Color, before landing acting roles in such major films as Do the Right Thing, White Men Can't Jump, and Fearless, which landed her a Golden Globe and Oscar nomination. Those roles and her ongoing choreography stints have since been responsible for her wealth, which celebrity net worth pegs at $12 million. Candace Cameron Bure offered a full house of perspectives. Anyone who had doubts about how a child star who made a living playing Bob Saget's daughter could hack it on a feisty daytime program probably felt vindicated over Candace Cameron Bure's tenure on The View. The former Full House player lasted 2 seasons on the talk show since becoming a co-host in 2015.
But the timing of her arrival, even after occasional appearances on the show before she landed the gig, couldn't have been worse. For instance, during a particularly tense episode of Welcome to Plathville, via YouTube, teenagers Micah and Moriah confronted their folks for neglecting to prepare them for the real world. Micah argued in a confessional that, as parents, they should have aimed to educate their kids as much as possible, but instead Barry and Kim let them down, as he and his sister explained in no uncertain terms. Although Barry quipped that, as parents, they haven't reached that level of perfection yet, he listened to Micah and Moriah's comments, particularly when it came to sex and relationships. Micah implored his parents to do a better job with his younger siblings, while they still had a chance. In a follow-up episode, via YouTube, the committed father approached son Isaac to have the talk, in a reasonable and upfront manner. When I was asked to join the table, the show was supposed to steer towards more evergreen topics and less about politics, said Burr to People. Enter Donald Trump into the presidential race. It changed everything. For a celebrity who wasn't weaned on politics, she faced a tough learning curve. But spending her downtime boning up on the issues and commuting weekly between New York and her home in Los Angeles became too much. In 2017, an offer to star in the Fuller House reboot was her easy exit from the talk show. With Cinema Blend reporting that Burr will also be in a forthcoming Fuller House movie for Hallmark as of this writing, that work will add to her earnings, which Celebrity Net Worth estimates at being in the neighborhood of $14 million. Elizabeth Hasselbeck was hawkish in the View huddle as proof that being on a reality TV show can develop a skill set one can use in everyday life. Submitted for your approval as Elizabeth Hasselbeck. The wife of former NFL quarterback Tim Hasselbeck, and a formidable personality in her own right, got her start in showbiz as a Survivor contestant and hasn't looked back. Although clearly uncomfortable, Barry acknowledged it gave him the opportunity to connect with Isaac, in a completely different way, too. Barry Plath wants to repair his relationships with his kids. The Plath family has fractured since their show premiered, and as a result, Barry and Kim have found themselves cut off entirely from son Ethan while teenagers Micah and Moriah moved out of the family home and spoke out about what they wished their parents had done differently. It might have been that fighting spirit that brought her into The View bullpen in 2003. After all, she lasted a decade locking horns with the best of the lot. One of the more confrontational conservatives on the panel, Hasselbeck frequently clashed with the likes of Joy Behar and Rosie O'Donnell on such contentious topics as her support of the war in Iraq. Barry might be pretty stuck in his ways in many areas, but he's always willing to try when it comes to his kids, as evidenced by the sweet moment when he and Isaac surprised Moriah at work one day. I do want to maintain good connections with the children that aren't living under the house anymore, Barry explained, via YouTube. As embarrassed as Moriah was, she clearly appreciated the gesture. Barry's relationship with Ethan is slightly more complicated. An Us Weekly exclusive claimed her right-wing perspectives were too extreme for the show's audience, so she was punted in 2013. Following an explosive incident at the house, Barry expressed regret that things had gotten so bad. I was bent over, shock, asthma, and betrayal all stealing my wind, she would later write in her autobiography, Point of View. A fresh look at work, faith, and freedom. Hasselbeck eventually found work at the more like-minded Fox News and has written a couple of other books on gluten-free diets. As Soap Dirt noted, the Plath patriarch admitted it would take a miracle to repair their bond. However, he also acknowledged believing in miracles, opining that if he and Kim could find common ground with Micah and Moriah, then there was hope for their relationship with Ethan, too. Barry Plath is still coping with the loss of his young son. Losing little Joshua left an indelible mark on the Plath family, particularly the parents. With earnings from her TV gigs, books and a few real estate deals, according to Celebrity Net Worth, she's good for $16 million in the bank. Abby Huntsman became a Fox with Friends. You know you have a bit of a catty show when left and right co-hosts fight in front of the camera. But when two people on the same end of the political spectrum hash it out, the studio atmosphere can get even more brutal. Barry and Kim's relationship was understandably tested by the tragic accident, but, as Soap Dirt noted, Barry never blamed his wife. Even in those moments she blamed herself. He understood that Kim was going to take it incredibly hard, so Barry didn't want to add to her grief any further. Although they don't like to bring up the topic too often, for obvious reasons, in a Season 2 episode of Welcome to Plathville, the Plath parents shared their loss with the children after repeated questions about Joshua. While reminiscing about the boy, Barry recalled, he was a very good snuggler. It's been over a decade since Joshua's passing, but the wound feels just as fresh. Republican supporter Abby Huntsman found that out the hard way when she joined The View in 2018, but after the umpteenth clash with more extreme right-winger Meghan McCain, she called it quits after 2 seasons. A CNN report cited the clashes between the two were just the tip of the iceberg in what a handful of personnel on The View described as a toxic environment. Huntsman eventually co-hosted with a more genial crowd on Fox and Friends. "The show is made as for drama," said Huntsman to Deseret News, which publishes in Salt Lake City where she resides with her family. The Plath parents visited their son's grave to pay their respects, with Barry saying, "We can just celebrate that we had 17 months to just be with him, and he with us. It was short. It did get fiery and that will continue. Honestly, it is a lot to sit there and have to do that every day." Fortunately, with earnings from those gigs, Huntsman, the daughter of former Utah Governor John Huntsman Jr., some would say it's a premature departure, but we're happy to have had 17 months getting to know him. And granddaughter of billionaire John Huntsman Sr., is not hurting financially. A special little guy. Tallies courtesy of Celebrity Net Worth have her making around $20 million. Jenny McCarthy demonstrated some blonde ambition. Jenny McCarthy first made herself known when she sprang from the pages of Playboy and scored a spot on MTV hosting a dating show called Singled Out via Forbes. So when she joined The View in 2013, the optics had it that her audition would be somewhat innocuous. Far from it. Almost immediately, McCarthy demonstrated that she was far from a cardboard cutout cutie, taking on fellow panelists Whoopi Goldberg and Barbara Walters. But in an interview with People, McCarthy claimed it wasn't so much over the contentious hot topics brought to the table, but the alleged control freak demeanors of the two veterans, especially Goldberg. "To me, Whoopi had an addiction to controlling people's thoughts, their words, the room, the table, your feeling, your mood," lamented McCarthy, who was fired by ABC after only one season. "She had an addiction to controlling all of it and everybody. The axing was hardly debilitating to her livelihood." Besides discovering marital bliss with Donnie Wahlberg, McCarthy has enjoyed scores of several revenue streams, especially on TV appearances, from a lingering story arc on 2.5 Men, to celebrity judge status on The Masked Singer. Add to that the 9 books she's penned and she's accumulated a fortune assessed by Celebrity Net Worth as hovering around $25 million. Joy Behar dishes out jubilation for the left. "If you're a card-carrying Republican or were a supporter of George W. Bush and Donald Trump, watch out. Cross Joy Behar's path and the unapologetic leftist will pulverize you with all the verbal ammo at her disposal." Behar earned her battle scars via being the only original member of The View panel still occupying a seat, despite being fired and sitting out 2 seasons in 2013, per People. Through it all, she clashed with guests like conservative commentator Bill O'Reilly, reality TV star turned White House aide Omarosa Manigault Newman, and Fox News personality Tucker Carlson. But her classic moments include the endless jousting with co-host and Republican diehard Meghan McCain on pretty much any headline-hitting topic. As far as Behar is concerned, those conflicts come with the territory. "Any conversation that talks about politics or religion is going to go off the rails," she said to Good Housekeeping. "It would be very unrealistic to think that there would be no acrimony, disagreements, and maybe even hurt feelings sometimes. That's the way it is." Behar's ascent to stardom involved a series of career path detours, starting out as a teacher before drifting in stand-up comedy and bit parts in the occasional Broadway show. It was her comedic chops that landed her on The View, which isn't her biggest revenue stream. Rather, her savviness as a real estate investor has hugely contributed to a nest egg Celebrity Net Worth values at $30 million. Raven-Symoné was so Raven at the table. Raven-Symoné cut her teeth as a child star on The Cosby Show, and played a psychic teen on That's So Raven. But somehow those mystical tools weren't at her disposal during her year-long tenure on The View, which she joined in 2015.
"My version of doing it. I wanted it to be about my mind and I wanted it to be about my opinions," she said to ET about her reason for joining the talk show. But the public was shocked over some of Raven-Symoné's perspectives, which included a declaration that she'd never hire anyone with a ghetto name via CNN, and siding with a cop who assaulted a kid for using his cell phone on school property. More militant viewers circulated a petition to axe her from the show. But in the end, Symoné left The View on her own terms when she jumped at Disney Channel's offer to reboot her Raven role. Raven-Symoné's showbiz output has been prolific since toddlerhood. She's also starred in such shows as Hangin' with Mr. Cooper, Kim Possible, and Cheetah Girls, but a lot of her loot has come from licensing deals surrounding all that Raven merch. As a result, Celebrity Net Worth has Raven in the black at $40 million. Meredith Vieira moderated like a veteran journalist despite the on-air rumbles involving most co-hosts. Others stood out as being far more diplomatic on The View set. And only a few presided at the hot topics table with dignity like Meredith Vieira. When asked by Us Weekly about all the turbulence in front of the camera, Vieira, who spent 9 seasons on the show, was eloquent in her response. "I hate to see dirty laundry exposed," she replied. "Everybody has a side story. So my memory of it was that was a great time." Vieira already had an extensive hard news background, having reported at CBS and working on its signature news magazine, 60 Minutes, for several years before becoming an original co-host of The View in 1997. After leaving the talk show, she became a fixture on NBC's The Today Show, before hosting the syndicated version of Who Wants to Be a Millionaire?, for which she won 2 daytime Emmys. Other endeavors include hosting her own daytime show for 2 seasons, covering several Olympic events, joining PBS to cover the Prince Harry and Meghan Markle nuptials, and occasionally playing herself on popular programs from 30 Rock to House of Cards. Combining her efforts as a journalist and public affairs personality has Celebrity Net Worth calculating her assets to be around $45 million. Whoopi Goldberg held court as a classy celeb. Credit much of Whoopi Goldberg's appeal on The View to name recognition from previous marquee endeavors, but audiences can't seem to get enough of the endearing co-host who's occupied the stage-left seat at the table since 2007. Fortunately to diehards, that Whoopi fix will continue to be satisfied until at least 2025 thanks to a 4-year deal she inked with ABC, according to The Hollywood Reporter, which broke the story in September 2021. Sure, she's butted heads with the likes of Meghan McCain and Jenny McCarthy, but in a nation where even inoculations can tear a country apart, fans see Goldberg as an oasis of sanity in an inhospitable pop culture landscape. For now, Goldberg claims she's up to the challenge. "I'm there until I don't think I can do it anymore, but I'm not there yet," she said to Variety in April 2021. Prolific in the acting trade, Goldberg is one of only 16 people on the planet to have won the EGOT Awards Grand Slam. She earned an Emmy for hosting The View, and the AMC documentary, Beyond Terra: The Extraordinary Life of Hattie McDaniel, an Oscar for Ghost, 2 Golden Globes for Ghost and The Color Purple, and a Tony for producing a remount of Thoroughly Modern Millie. All that sweat equity has Whoopi shining bright with a value Celebrity Net Worth deems to be at $60 million. Rosie O'Donnell trotted out the drama when actress Rosie O'Donnell replaced star Jones in 2006. Her unfiltered anger was the stuff of legends, having combated with pretty well everyone at the Hot Topics label, including Elizabeth Hasselbeck, Whoopi Goldberg, Rosie Perez, Barbara Walters, and a producer that resulted in a lawsuit. Her first year alone enticed the New York Post to consult a psychiatrist who said O'Donnell greatly mistrusted men, was particularly angry at women, and craved attention, traits uncovered in her biographical tell-all, Celebrity Detox. While O'Donnell may have been one of the show's more toxic hosts, she was never fired. She left after 1 season but returned in 2014 for another season. However, stress and health issues, she suffered a heart attack in 2012, forced her to bow out once again. Another O'Donnell return isn't in the cards, especially when she claimed she ignores the show every time it's broadcast. "I don't watch it anymore because it upsets me," she said to Daily Beast, "and because I think it's been dumbed down a lot." For her part, O'Donnell's no dummy, having hosted her own syndicated talk show and starred in such movies as A League of Their Own and Sleepless Seattle, published her own magazine and a number of books, and delving into some lucrative real estate ventures.
Combined, O'Donnell is coming up Rosie with a value estimated by Celebrity Net Worth at $120 million. Barbara Walters was the ultimate visionary of The View in the past quarter-century. The View started out with a handful of women from eclectic walks of life hot stoving over issues of the day. Today, its influence on pop culture is nothing short of enormous, with the likes of the New York Times calling it the most important political TV show in America. To Walters, it was the final crown of many she earned when she announced her exit in 2013. "I do not want to appear on another program or climb another mountain," said Walters in an ABC statement. "I want instead to sit on a sunny field and admire the very gifted women, and some men, too, who will be taking my place." Walters, however, hasn't totally retired, still listed as an executive producer and co-owner of the show. Since getting into broadcasting, Walters became a trailblazer, becoming the first woman to anchor a primetime network news program and having the clout to land elusive celebrities in her highly watched interview specials. All that experience provided the savviness to convince ABC that the climate was ready for a show in which women would have their say on what was going on in America. With that, it's probably poetic justice that all those years as a high-profile TV journalist would be the richest co-host of all the luminaries that have paneled at The View. She's certainly earned her keep with a portfolio that celebrity net worth pegs at $170 million.